Today I'll be making a basic coffee ice cream recipe, and I'm going to try to keep it really light. I'm going to get the calorie content at about 300. I'm going to start with some protein powder. This is ISO 100, and for 1 cup, or for 1 scoop, it's 110 calories. So I'm going to put 1 scoop in. What I'm going to do is put it into a mini blender. You can put it directly into your Ninja cup and blend it there. I like to blend it using my bullet, so I'm going to put my cup right in there. And instead of using water, I'm going to be using just a half a cup of brewed coffee. You can use espresso or coffee. I tried it with espresso before and I thought it was a little bit strong, so I'm going to try it this way and see how it goes. I'm going to be using Fairlife milk today, so I'm going to put in a cup of that. Today I'm measuring because I'd like to keep more consistency in my recipes. Sometimes I make a really good recipe and it's hard to recreate it because I just throw things together. I am still going to adjust my flavorings with taste after I mix everything up, but I'm going to try to keep to the measurements because when you're counting calories you really need to measure things. So this is kind of a different ingredient I found at the local discount store. I don't remember what the name of it was, but it's a dark chocolate creamer. I'm just going to use like a heaping teaspoon, and that's just going to add a few calories, but it's going to be a nice stabilizer and I think a flavor enhancer. I'm also going to add, this is the special ingredient, it's zero calorie. My daughter found this. It's Javi coffee concentrate. I'm going to have to ask her where she got it. I think she may have bought it online. That I'm going to add just a teaspoon. It's oops, sorry. I was going to add just a teaspoon, but it kind of went a little bit crazy. So let's call that a teaspoon and a half because I didn't pour it slowly. And I'm also going to put in a little bit of coffee extract. I'm going to be really careful with this one because it's super strong. So I'm just going to use the cap, and I'm going to add 1 capful. Oops, dropped it in there. 1 capful. I'm going to wash that off later. And now I'm ready. Oh, and another important stabilizer, the cottage cheese. I'm just using regular low fat because that's what I have. You could use non-fat or full fat, whichever. I'm going to do about a half a cup of that. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Not exact on that. All right, now I'm ready to spin this and taste it. The other ingredient I'm going to add after is my Splenda. I'm not going to blend that up because it won't fit in my blender. Basically, it's a little more than one of these to fill it up. So I'm going to blend this up, add my sweetener, and taste, and then I'll freeze. Now that I've blended this up, I'm going to pour it into my pint. A little bit of the cottage cheese didn't blend completely, so I'm going to get that out. It's going to blend when I freeze it and blend it in the Creami, so that'll be fine. And I'm going to add a cup of Splenda, about. A couple things I forgot to add. I'm going to add some vanilla and some vanilla bean paste. I'm using Madagascar vanilla. You can use any kind of vanilla you want, whatever flavor you like. About a teaspoon. I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla bean paste. Maybe like half a teaspoon. And I'm also going to add some espresso powder. You don't have to add that, but I think it just gives it a little bit more of the coffee flavor. I'm just adding a tiny little bit. I'm going to mix this up by hand. You could also use your blend, your mix-in setting on the Ninja Creami, and I'm going to see how high it goes. It looks like it might be a little bit high. I might pour some off and use it for something else. After mixing this up, you can see it's right about at the level, which is perfect. At this point, you can adjust the flavorings to your taste. You can add more of this Javi because it's got more of it has a really good flavor and it's 0 calories. If it's a little strong for you, you could add a little bit of milk. And one thing I forgot is to add a dash of salt because it really helps to bring the flavor out. That's something you probably want to put a little bit in and stir it up and taste it and see how much you prefer. Another option for coffee ice cream is to put a little bit of cinnamon in it. I think it adds a really nice flavor, but of course that's your choice. So now I'm ready to freeze this. I'm ready to spin this on light ice cream setting. I'm going to spin the whole thing just in case some of the ingredients went to the bottom. I always like to do the whole thing on the first spin. Light, and I'll press the start button. After one spin on light, this is how it looks. The texture looks perfect, so let me spoon it out and see how it tastes. Looks good. So now I'm going to grab a spoon. The texture is good. The flavor is good. I can definitely taste that it is a protein light ice cream. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. This is pretty low calorie. I like the high fat ice creams better, but that's understandable. I'm gonna have to think about what I could do to make this better. It definitely has a strong coffee taste. Maybe I need to put something light in there to make it not as strong a coffee. It's got, I think, a little bit too much of the coffee extract, but it's good. I'm just trying to think about ways to make it better. I decided to add some more sugar, and I used Splenda. And I also added a little bit of milk to this. I refroze it, and I'm going to spin it again on light and see if it improves the flavor. After one spin, it looks good. So now I'm ready to serve it up and see how it tastes today. Okay, it looks good. This is how it came out. And now I will taste it. It's better, but I still think it needs more milk. It's a little strong still, but it's good. Whenever I'm not happy with an ice cream, how it turns out, I try different things and then I refreeze them and see what changes things and what improves things, what doesn't work, what does work. So I've had a lot of trouble with this coffee ice cream. It was never bad, but it was just not delicious. The first time I thought it tasted a little bit too much like black coffee, like just too strong. So I added a bunch of sugar and refroze it. When I say sugar, I added sugar substitute. Then it came out kind of sweet and flat, like it didn't have any interesting flavor. So I added a little bit of salt, I added a little bit more milk, and I added a few pistachios. So now I'm going to spin it again and see how that works. I started out, this is a light recipe, so it was only 300 calories for the whole deluxe pint. I didn't count how many calories it added, but you know, pistachios are high calorie, but they are high protein as well. So hopefully this improves the flavor. I'm going to go ahead and do this on light ice cream setting and see how it turns out. After mixing this on light ice cream setting, it creamed up really nicely, except I noticed that some of the bottom didn't mix all the way through. If I mix this again on mix in or respin, it's going to overspin and it's going to be kind of soupy. So what I'm going to do is gently take my spoon, just a big long spoon, and I'm going to try to get all of that stuff at the bottom because it's going to change the flavor slightly. One of the problems with this ice cream flavor is it tasted too strong to me of coffee. It didn't have any balance. So I'm hoping that if I mix this white stuff at the bottom, it's going to taste more like cafe au lait, more of the flavor I like, where it's kind of sweet and salty and has that coffee flavor, but it's not overpowering. And now I'm ready to scoop it out and taste it. As you can see, just by stirring that, it's gotten a lot soupier, which is fine. It's more of a soft serve consistency, but it's still good. I'm going to scoop this out and taste it. That's a lot better. It has much more of a balance. I can taste the coffee, but it's not overpowering and it's not sickly sweet.